I will read this notebook while I'm kind of not listening. This is a navigator one anyway. I need to pay attention, but it's not really that important. I think I can probably do both. But yeah, so like I was saying in the meeting, I think if we can get it to where I'm set up to take the exam to be the examiner that first GED test period, then I can kind of do it, kind of see how it goes, take care of that at that time, and then that sounds like a plan. Yeah, no, that's what I did when I was yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah. Otherwise, then we have to schedule a whole separate thing and the hassle. Well, I'm pleased that Steve finally has what he needs. That's a good thing.
There we are. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our December 2014 Student Support Staff meeting in January. So we'll be having our January meeting at normal time on the fourth Wednesday from 1 to 2, and I think that's January 28th. I want to welcome Tricia from Clark College. She's a new student navigator there. Tricia, are you online?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Hi. Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Yeah, sure. Hi. Again, my name is Tricia Hawkinstead. Started as a new student navigator here a few weeks ago, so I'm very excited to be here and thrilled to work with the grants and the students and supporting our goals. So.
Great. Welcome. We're thrilled to have you here.
Thank you.
So since this is our December meeting in January, I thought this would be a great transition time for us as a group to kind of do some group maintenance and do some reflection over the last year so that we can really focus on our goals for the months coming up. So could you flip to the PowerPoint? Yep. Thanks. Yeah, can you go next? Sorry. So I thought we'd just start off by taking a look at who is the student support staff, because we've had a lot of people come on in the last year at various times. And so on the left here you can see these are all the folks that have joined us in 2014. And we've got Pat, who joined back in May at Clover Park, Pierre, who's here with us, Erica and Nova, and John at Nova, and Michelle at Whatcom, who wasn't able to join us today because she's not feeling well, and then Tricia. And then on the right, you'll see all the student support staff who've been here for a while. So our seasoned veterans. Okay, you can flip to the next slide. So just wanted to give you a quick snapshot over the last year. These are our monthly meetings. And just to go a little month by month, just to review what our meetings have been about. So a year ago, in January, we initiated the Navigator recruiting and employment goals. And we met and talked about that. In February, we had Caitlin and Bill from the Washington Labor Council come and speak to us about recruiting TAA participants. In March, we had our guest speaker, Yvette Herrera-Greer from PATH, who came and talked about attracting and retaining employers. Then we had in April just some consortium updates with some new initiatives with the veteran recruiting and the LinkedIn employment group. In May, we had a coaching conversation around the TED Talk video by Sarah Lewis. And in June, Adriana from Clark College presented best practices for health IT resumes. Next slide. In July, Brandy put together a great panel of veterans to talk about connecting with veterans. Brandy's from Pierce. And in August, Jennifer got Ron Taplin from Bellevue College to speak to us about time management and student coaching. In September, we had Matt Ragsdale from Graythorn. He's a health IT recruiter. And he gave a great presentation about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile and other tips about LinkedIn from a recruiter's perspective. In October, we had our in-person consortium meeting, well, September, October. And we talked about appreciative inquiry and coaching and shared a lot of best practices around recruiting, retention, and employment, as well as some other great discussions between the navigators and support specialists. In November, we had Hannah and Jessica from Comforce come and talk to us about interview preparation tips. And that brings us to December. So we're back where we started from, with kind of going back and reviewing goals.
I'm like, I got you back. I gotta make you coffee, but Reed's not there. I was like, sorry, you're gonna have to wait. I'll close this so you don't have to hear it.
Hold on, let me see if I can. Oh, there she goes. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So over the last year, throughout these meetings, I've been collecting some best practices that you've all shared. And I just wanted to, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I just wanted to highlight a few. And this presentation will be posted on the HIT.org website. But so you guys shared some great best practices for recruiting. A couple I wanted to highlight were using LinkedIn and joining groups that provide access to targeted individuals for recruiting, attending resource fairs and WorkSource events to advertise, maintaining an active connection with the on-campus Veterans Clubs was another best practice. And then for retention and coaching, some of the best practices you shared were creating a personal success plan for new students, creating a one-page survey that helps identify challenges, and emailing recommendations to the student. I think that was shared by Clark. Then also celebrating and recognizing students' small successes. I think Brandy talked about how she recognizes students for their grades and other achievements, and how the students respond very positively to that acknowledgement. Another one was filming workshops and then sharing the links with the students who can't attend. And also that helps so you don't have to redo the workshops every time. For best practices for employment, some of the ones that you shared were to video record mock interviews so the students can look back on those and review those and get pointers. Also offering to edit students' resumes over email and then doing an in-person follow-up as needed. And also helping students with optimizing their LinkedIn profiles. So just thinking back, I know you've all joined at different times over the year, and some people have been to a lot of meetings, some haven't been to very many, but just thinking back over the year, I'd like to get your feedback on what's one thing you would have liked to have seen more of in the monthly meetings, and what's one thing you would like to have seen less of, and why. Why don't we start with what you'd like to see more of, and you could just type it in the chat box. Right. Okay, so Matt said he'd like to see more program completers finding employment locally. Okay. Here, do you have anything?
In regards to the monthly meetings,
Could be anything.
I think overall I would like more employer engagement and maybe more talk about strategies for doing so. Not necessarily the recruiters so much, but for like employment and internship development. I don't know who would best facilitate that, but discussing strategies for engaging the decision makers as far as that goes.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Jennifer, do you have anything?
I'm going to say the complete opposite. Since a lot of the meetings were put on by recruiters, I want to see more coaching topics and techniques and how to work with students on in different areas.
Okay.
More materials to help academically struggling students. Great.
Okay, so where are we?
We, Brandy said the recruiters, you had to be interview tips were helpful.
Okay, great, thanks, Brandy. Yeah, no problem, Rihanna. I think that question was for you too.
Yes, I would say yes, more specific tips on working one-on-one with students, especially academically.
Okay. Okay, does anyone else have anything they'd like to see more of? Okay, what would you like to see less of and why? So Pierre, I'm going to put you on the spot again.
Whatever Jennifer wants. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I really don't know. Being dead.
Okay. Fair enough.
Just from all the meetings we've had, I feel pretty, I feel I've got a solid understanding of what recruiters are looking for, because we've had a handful of recruiters from different companies come. What about if we had people from private HR departments, from like group health or large IT organizations, like have somebody from their HR kind of tell us, because I'm always curious about when students are applying for nursing positions or applying to these big hospitals or big healthcare organizations, what are they looking for? I mean, it's easy, I love the tips from the recruiters, because that gives us a whole other perspective, but I'm always wondering about the private industries too, what they're looking for.
So having more in-house, like HR folks.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And less recruiters.
Less recruiters. I feel we got a solid understanding of what the recruiters are looking for.
Okay, does anyone else have questions I'd like to see less of? Okay, great. And let's move on to the next slide. So actually, can you go back just a second? I'm not quite ready for that one. Okay, so over the last year and prior to that as well, the topics have mostly been focused on all of the areas covered by student support staff, and that includes recruiting, retention, and employment. And we've tried to mix those up a bit. We are now moving into the phase in the grant, though, where we're really wanting to focus heavily on employment. And that doesn't mean that it's not important to still focus on recruiting and coaching. It is. However, I just want to point out that we're really wanting to emphasize a focus on employment and really kind of boost our efforts in that area. So I just wanted to quickly review some of the support services that we're offering. You can go to the next slide. So a while back, I think at least all of the PMs and navigators should have received an email from me with a HeW employment checklist, and I'm going to go over that in just a minute. Also with an internship and employment assistance chart, and that is for requesting my assistance with student employment and internships, as well as a resume template. And those are some of the new support services that I'm offering, in addition to the bi-monthly newsletter, email newsletter, which hopefully you're all receiving. So both the bi-monthly newsletter and the LinkedIn employment group contain job postings. Also, I'm working with you, continuing to work with you on your quarterly recruiting and employment goals. also providing where I can connections with employers and recruiters, and actually sending specific job announcements your way when I find them for your students. And then also sharing employment trends and resources. And also, I am always available for individual coaching on employment or any student services area. Let's go to the next slide. So this is the employment checklist that I sent out. And I just wanted to reference it quickly because this is something that you can all use to kind of self-assess your own services. It's pretty comprehensive in covering all the services being offered through the grant, from individual service plans, for setting employment goals with your students, to all the different services you can provide to support them. And then I think you need to flip to the next slide for the rest. Hopefully you all are also sharing employment resources. Here's a list of some of those resources that are helpful for students to have. And then the HeW grant support services, which includes our monthly meetings, the LinkedIn group, the quarterly employment goals that you work with me on, and then also individual coaching and consulting. So I'm hoping you'll use this list and reference it when you're actually thinking about this coming year and thinking about setting your goals, and hopefully it'll give you an idea of maybe where you can focus more energy or less energy moving forward. And I'm just going to stop and ask if there are any questions about that. Okay. So over the past year, too, our meeting format, we've had a pretty similar meeting format throughout, which has typically included either guest speaker or panel, and then an opportunity for everyone to share challenges and best practices with each other. And also doing a round of commitments was something we added. We've rotated facilitators when people had volunteered to do so. So thanks everyone who volunteered to facilitate. Our meetings have been 1 hour long, and for the past several months, they were on the fourth Wednesday of the month from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific time. However, we had to adjust the last two meetings because of the holidays. So just in reviewing that and thinking about our focus on employment and thinking about some of the resources I've shared, I just wanted to kind of have an open discussion about planning our meetings for the upcoming months. And if you have any other suggestions for meeting format or requests, and can you flip to the next slide? So let's just start with topics. Does anyone have any suggestions or ideas for topics that you'd like to see? You know, Jen already offered one or a couple.
Do you want me to reiterate? Yeah, sure. My suggestion is for, instead of having recruiters come and present what they're looking for, is to have private healthcare organizations or private hospitals, people from their HR departments to come and present what they are looking for in candidates for positions that they have open.
Thank you. Do you have any suggestions here?
Just what I want to see is just to talk about employer engagement and developing work experience opportunities for students.
Okay, so Rihanna said she'd like to see ideas for getting students to actually utilize services. And Rihanna, I just want to mention that we have talked about that a bit in our meetings, and so I do have some of those best practices documented as well, so I'll send you an email with those after this meeting. But thank you for the suggestion. Erica says information on internships. Erica, what kind of information are you looking for? Can you say a little bit more about that? Communicating with employers. That sounds kind of similar to what Pierre was saying in terms of engaging with employers to create opportunities for students. Also seeing if they would offer and if they have expertise. Okay. Great ideas, you guys. Are there any more? You can share more than one, too. So actually, for our next meeting on January 28th, Amy Justice from HeW will be joining us to talk about the Veteran Services Initiative through the grant and what's being offered through HeW, and also hopefully talk a little bit about the HeW's Job Mine and what other career resources are available from HeW. So that is the only meeting we have planned at this point. So in terms of facilitators, does anybody have any input or feedback on the facilitation? And do we have any volunteers to facilitate future meetings? I would love to see some of the folks who've been here a while step up and facilitate. Okay, well, I'll just bug you individually then. Okay, how about format? Are people satisfied with the format, the typical format of the meeting, or do you have other suggestions?
I'm satisfied with the format.
Yes, okay, all right. Okay, so are there any other suggestions anyone would like to share? Oh, great, great, we can move on then. You have more?
Do other degree colleges?
Here we go. Okay, so your chats are just now showing up. So from Brandy, is that from Brandy or Pat?
This one's from Brandy.
So Brandy says, do other degrees colleges have certifications that these students can take? If you're, I'm not sure specifically what you're referring to, Brandy, but if you could say a little bit more. We do have a list that I can send out of all the other health IT programs that we know of that are out there at other colleges. So if that's something that would be helpful for you, I can send that out. Where are we?
So I think when you asked, she added like Microsoft exams, CompTIA, et cetera.
Okay. Okay, so that's an interesting thought. Are you thinking about maybe having a list of resources available to students for where they can go to get additional certifications? I'm curious, does anybody else have a list like that, or is anyone else aware of where we could find one? Okay, so that's something I'll definitely put on the list to look into and to possibly start compiling something for our resources page. Okay, and then Pat had some comments too. She said, I'd like to see an on-ground meeting more than once per year. Okay, noted.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the chat box? Oh, sorry. Brandy agreed. And Matt agreed.
And then Brandy had also said sharing where people can get for internships or their
Oh.
check, et cetera. So I think basically like a.
That's great. So Brandy, we just also saw your comment about sharing where people can get prepared for internships with their immunizations, background checks, et cetera. So that's a really good question, and I will get back with you on that as well. And then Brandy also said maybe for 2015, toward the end of the year, we can plan a meeting that will let us know what we should do to wrap up with the grant. Good suggestion. Okay, great. Is there anything else before we move on? All right. Yes. Okay, so I think we got a good start on planning future meetings and getting some ideas about what you guys are interested in. Next thing I want to talk about is the core goals. Can you mute everyone for right now? Okay, if you're not already muted, could you please mute yourself because we're getting a lot of feedback on our end. And then I'll ask you to unmute yourself or just type in the chat box to answer the question. So I asked all the navigators to bring your quarterly goals because it's time for us to revisit those and look back on progress and report on progress, as well as develop new goals for this upcoming quarter. But I also just wanted to do a little reflection, and I asked for each of you to share one success from last quarter and then one challenge from last quarter. So let's just start with sharing our successes.
We had good recruitment for healthcare data analysts. Not so much for state analysts. But I wish, big challenge for me, and I wish I had more, is more jobs and internships to place students in.
And Matt had a question. Should we be directly related to our goals?
It does not have to be directly related to your goals, but hopefully, my hope is that some of them will be. Okay, so Brandy said out of our next graduating class of 18 students, we had an average quarterly GPA of 3.871. Wow. 14 students were Dean's List, 3.5 GPA or higher. And of those, 7 students were on the President's List. 5 of those students had a perfect 4.0. I am so incredibly proud of our students. As you should be. That's really awesome. Yay. Okay, and then Erica shared as a success, built relationships with the other student services personnel and outreach people to get support for the project and getting the word out to the students. That's great. Rihanna said we graduated another pharmacy tech cohort. And Pat said we held student orientations on financial aid, ASG membership, and test stress anxiety last cohort with great instructor support. Wonderful. Okay. Yeah, Pat, could you tell us what ASG means or what that stands for? Associated Student Government. Thank you. And Matt said we recently ran a very successful call campaign to build a list of employers to promote our program students do. One of my goals was to connect with employers, and this is a very important and a significant first step. Great work. And for those of you who didn't have goals, if you want to share success, that would be great too. Do you have anything?
Yeah, we kind of had a collaborative success story. We had a student in one of our current certificate programs that applied for an internship that we found for her, and we provided her with interview tips in order to prep for the internship, and she got it.
Yay!
That was everybody worked together to equip the student with that knowledge. And then a challenge, I guess just academically keeping certificate students on track, and just with there's but somewhat of a disconnect in Canvas sometimes of when grades are posted by instructors versus what is the actual grade, and we found some kind of areas that we can look additionally in for more information on that, so just keeping track of that.
Thanks. So it looks like we've moved on to challenges. Or wait, Brandy had one more success. She had a couple of students she helped with scholarship applications, and they received them. Yay. And then Brandy also shared a challenge. She said not all of our graduates from our medical office program count as grant completers because they began under the old curriculum before the grant started. That's unfortunate. And Pat also shared a challenge. She says they're having a reduction in enrollment, and it's been difficult to find enough students for both day and evening hemodialysis cohorts now that we are a year into the grant. Okay. Are there any other challenges? Matt, they're having a seat availability in 100 level IT courses. Oh, a seat availability in 100 level IT courses required by multiple programs, including our health IT program. And Brandy said us too. That's interesting.
Pat wants to know if it's too much seating or not enough.
So I'm thinking that's not enough seating because they're entry-level courses that are being used by multiple programs. And Brandy said we seem to need more faculty, but need more budget to get them hired. Okay, are there any other challenges before we move on? Oh, so Matt said for him it's not enough. 3 of our programs require these courses. The other 2 programs are much larger, so the seats disappear quickly and make it challenging for health IT students to enroll. Okay, thanks. Let's move on. So thinking forward and thinking about your goals moving forward and what we've reflected on, what's one thing you would like to do more of and why this coming year? And what is one thing you would like to do less of and why? Let's just start with what you'd like to do more of. And this can be anything, so don't overthink it.
I, for one, would like more student engagement on main campus, if possible.
So, more student engagement on main campus. So for you personally to have more?
Yeah, really go talk to the students.
Okay.
FaceTime with them.
Okay. Pat said more of get the students to utilize their navigator. Yes, student engagement. And Matt said more employer connection. Planning a program information session specifically for employers for the end of the quarter. Great. Erica agrees with engagement and also more employer participation. And also more career workshops. Great. Is there any more of before we move on to the less of?
Second, what's been said, student engagement and definitely career workshops, especially of
Okay.
the employment goals.
Okay, and what's one thing you would like to do less of and why? Pat says less financial aid issues. I'm afraid to ask you to elaborate on that. Brandy says, we have 2 programs I work with. One has good student engagement because my office is nearby and the students are referred to me to start. The other program, the students are referred by faculty and I have a harder time connecting with them. I want more connection with our BTech program. Okay. And Matt says less vague discussion of employment outcomes, more concrete details. Okay. Okay, Brandy, thank you for clarifying. Okay, are there any other lessons? Okay, so hopefully you were sharing one thing you would like to do less of. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so as you're preparing your goals for this next quarter, hopefully you all read the last employment newsletter, and we've had several discussions about SMART goals over the past year and a half. And so I'm sure you all know what SMART goals are, but I just wanted to do a quick review because what I would really like to see is not only your students utilizing SMART goals, but the navigators as well utilizing SMART goals as you're setting your goals for the next quarter. So some things to ask yourself as you're setting your goals, whether they're SMART or not, is are they specific? So What that means is what exactly are you going to do, when, and how. So it's really in how you're wording your goals, and I know you can't always be exactly specific, but it's trying to get as specific as you can. Also, are they measurable? So when you're writing measurable goals, you want to ask yourself, what criteria will I use to determine my progress? So will it be a number criteria? Will it be based on feedback? What will the criteria be? And are they attainable? So are the goals realistic and are they within your control? And then relevant. So when you set relevant goals, you want to ask yourself, are the goals challenging, but also meaningful to whatever it is you want to accomplish? And then finally, time-bound. Have you given yourself a deadline? Does anyone have any questions about SMART goals? So I did provide some additional resources in a newsletter that I sent out. And also, I'm happy to meet with any of you to help you work with your goals to get them more specific and measurable and attainable and relevant and time-bound. Okay, so that's actually all I have. I would like everyone's goals updated by a week from today. And if you could just send me both the progress on your last quarter goals and then your new goals for the upcoming quarter by next Wednesday, that would be great. And then just a reminder about our upcoming meetings. So our next meeting is, again, January 28th with Amy Justice from HeW. And then February 25th and March 25th are our next meetings. And we don't have topics for those yet. So if you have ideas or suggestions that you didn't share today, please send those my way, and especially if you want to help facilitate. And will you be sending out a template for SMART goals? I had a template that I thought I sent everyone, but I can resend that. And then if you need something else in addition to that, let's chat on the phone. No, I haven't sent it recently. It would have been the last time that we did the goals. So I will make sure to send you that template out. Pretty sure everyone has it. But. All right, so are there any final thoughts before we close the meeting? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm looking forward to working with you all in the new year. A lot of me talking.
Hello. Is anyone there?